My grandmother was dying, and her only wish was to see me get married. I begged my girlfriend to play along just for a little while, but she was busy, celebrating her stepbrother's birthday. She shut me down cold. A week later, I posted a picture of a marriage certificate on my Instagram. Congratulations poured in from friends, everyone asking when the reception was. That's when she finally called. Her voice cracked like a whip after months of the cold shoulder. Wait, have you? No shame? What's the point of forcing my hand like this? I just laughed. The wedding was real. But who said it was with her? The doctor had said Grandma only had a few days left. Someone needs to be by her bedside at all times, he told us, his voice soft. At this stage, he didn't need to finish. We all understood. Grandma, I whispered, clutching her dry, paper-thin hand, trying to draw warmth from it. She smiled. Her eyes crinkled with that familiar kindness. She tried to comfort me. It's all right, honey. People get old, they die. It's something we all have to accept. I've lived a long life, and my children and grandchildren have been so good to me. I'm content. I buried my face in the sheets beside her, tears streaming down my cheeks. I couldn't bear the thought of losing her, this woman who had always been my anchor. Leo, she said, her voice cautious. How are things with you and your young? Lady, I remembered the last time she brought it up, asking if I'd bring my girlfriend Chloe home to meet her. When I mentioned it to Chloe, her response had been a curt, I'm busy. Later, when Grandma asked again, frustration boiled over and I snapped. She's a busy person, okay? When would she ever have time to visit us? Grandma looked startled for a moment, then gave me that soft, understanding smile. Wrong? Did you two have a fight? Seeing the concern in her eyes, a wave of guilt washed over me. Why did I always lash out at the people who loved me most? I apologized immediately. Grandma, of course, wasn't one to hold a grudge, but she never asked about meeting Chloe again. Now, looking at her lying in that hospital bed, her face calm, almost emotionless, I was filled with nothing but guilt. Seeing my silence, she quickly added, I was just asking, Leo. I'm not trying to meddle. As long as you two are happy, it's all that matters. She tried so hard to pretend it didn't bother her, but I knew better. I knew she cared deeply. Grandma was a traditional woman from a small Midwestern town. She'd had a high school education and lived in the same county her whole life. In her world, the best thing a man could do was find a good partner, get married, have kids, and build a happy home. I'd shown her modern TV shows. Tried to explain how times had changed, how people wanted different things now. I have a degree from a great school, I'd say. I've got a good job. I can support myself. I have options. She would just beam at me. Of course you do. Just like my Leo went to a top university. Got a great job. You're a wonder. To Grandma, I could do no wrong. In her eyes, the sun rose and set with me, but she always followed it with, that's wonderful. You're so brilliant. I'll find someone just as brilliant to share your life with. When two amazing people get together, now they'll have a good life. I'd just smile. Resigned. That was Grandma. Some of her beliefs were etched in stone, unshakable, and the deepest of them all. A man, when he came of age, was meant to get married. The moment I graduated, Grandma started worrying about my love life. She was always trying to set me up with daughters of her friends from church. When I finally told her I had a girlfriend, she was overjoyed. I knew she was desperate to meet her, but after that one time I snapped, she never brought it up again. As the years passed and my parents began dropping hints about settling down, Grandma stayed silent. Not because she didn't care, but because she cared too much. She didn't want to pressure me, didn't want me to feel cornered. She had always been my biggest protector. She couldn't bear to see me struggle. She would rather bottle up her own wishes than burden me. Just like No lying in that hospital bed, her life counting down, she kept saying she had no regrets, that she could leave this world with a smile. But the flicker of longing in her eyes told the truth. How could she not have regrets when she hadn't seen me married? I remembered her saying years ago, I'm not greedy. If I could just see my Leo get married, I could die the next minute, perfectly content. She hadn't said anything like that in years, not because she didn't feel it, but because she didn't want to add to my burdens. How could I not be heartbroken for a grandmother like that? How could I let her leave this world with that? One lingering regret, as I watched her drift into a peaceful sleep, I made a silent, resolute decision. That evening, my mom arrived with a thermos of homemade soup. After I helped Grandma with her dinner, Mom gently urged me to go home, to eat a real meal, take a shower, and get a good night's rest. "You haven't been sleeping," she said, brushing the hair from my forehead, the dark circles under. "Your eyes are terrible." She promised Dad would stay the night and that they'd call me if anything changed. Outside the hospital, I called Chloe. No answer. I called her assistant. She told me Chloe had left the office hours ago. I opened Instagram. The first post in my feed was from Ryan. A fresh upload. The caption read, "Another year, and you're right here by my side." The best, of course, was Ryan's birthday. I zoomed in on the photo, a decadent cake, flowers, a cascade of balloons, and in the corner, I noticed the subtle logo of a private club on the Gold Coast. Chloe's favorite spot? I drove there, my mind a whirlwind of emotions. I had no idea how this would play out, but I had to try. The moment I stepped into the club, my heart pounded against my ribs. Nerves, uncertainty, and a deep gnawing dread. I asked for the private room she always booked and knocked. A voice called out, "Come in." I pushed open the door. A long table adorned with flowers stood in the center. Surrounding it was a crowd of people gathered around Ryan, who was just about to cut his cake. It looked picture perfect. A tall frame in a crisp white designer suit, a beacon in the room. The moment the door opened, heads turned. And the woman beside him, her arm casually draped around his waist, instantly dropped her smile, her brow furrowed. It was Chloe. "What are you doing here?" Her voice was ice. Ryan gently patted her arm, amused. "Chloe, be nice." "You talk to Leo like that?" He turned to me with a familiar, polished smile. "My fault, man. I should have invited you. Mentioned you were busy with a family emergency, so I figured you wouldn't make it." He guided me toward her. "Be sweeter to your boyfriend," he teased. "You're going to scare him off with that attitude." Chloe didn't look at me. She said nothing. I took a deep breath, my eyes locked on her. "Can we talk outside for a second? I need to ask you something." "Whatever it is, you can say it here," she said flatly. Everyone here is a friend. It was clear my presence had soured her mood. The air grew colder. The room filled with her people. Tried not to stare, but I could feel their eyes, judging, whispering. I clenched my fists, nails digging into my palm, and steadied myself. "Chloe," I said, my voice clearer than I expected, "marry me?" She stared at me blank like she couldn't process what she'd just heard. Then her expression shifted. "What did you just say?" I repeated slowly, "Let's get married." Saying it again gave the words weight. They hung in the air, unshakable, low. "It's not April Fool's Day," she said coolly, her eyes scanning me with disbelief. Ryan stepped in, awkwardly trying to lighten the mood. "Hey, Leo. You been drinking?" "I'm perfectly sober," I said, my gaze locked on Chloe. "I'm asking you, will you marry me?" "Tomorrow?" My stare didn't waver. I wanted her to see this was not a joke. Ryan's smile faded, his tone sharpened. "Leo, it's my birthday. Whatever drama you and Chloe have, please, take it outside. I get one birthday a year, and I don't want it ruined." The whispers erupted all around us. Oh my God, is he proposing to Chloe? Does he have a death wish? He seriously needs a reality check. Just because they're dating, he thinks he can marry into the Sterling family? Please, just having fun with him. He's gotten delusional, the nerve of some people. Doesn't he know his place? I heard his dad owns a small security installation business. Did he have any idea what it meant to be the daughter of one of the richest men in the city? Their eyes were full of scorn and derision. But I was used to it. I had stopped caring a long time ago. Ryan's displeasure was enough to cue Chloe's response. She didn't hold back. "What is wrong with you?" Snapped. "If you're going to have a meltdown, get the hell out of here." A sharp pain lanced through my chest. I swallowed the humiliation and said calmly, "I didn't want to ruin Ryan's party. I asked to talk outside. You're the one who insisted I stay." If this ridiculous stunt is what you wanted to talk about, then the answer is no, she said sharply. You can leave now. My fingers were clenched so tightly, my nails had broken the skin in my palms. But I had to try one more time. Chloe, I'm not trying to pressure you, I said, voice trembling. My grandmother, she only has a few days left. I just don't want her to die with regrets. I want her to see me get married before she goes. Chloe looked at me like I was a joke, a sad, pathetic joke. Her voice dripped with contempt. Are you even listening to yourself? She didn't believe me, and neither did anyone else. Using a dying relative to force a proposal, that's a new low. Seriously, does he think we're all idiots? If that line worked, Chloe would have been married a dozen times by now. My voice cracked. Chloe, I'm not lying. You can check for yourself. My grandma has had enough. She snapped, cutting me off. She was done, her patience gone. I told you, I don't believe in marriage. You said you were okay with that? Are you trying to go back on your word now? So, you won't marry me? I asked quietly. That's your final answer? No, she said firmly. Final, absolute. Okay, I whispered. I understand. I turned and walked away. Leaving the club, I moved numbly down the sidewalk. The world around me faded into gray, a blurred backdrop to the void growing. In my chest, everything felt distant, except the creeping cold of a heart slowly breaking. My phone rang. I answered it without thinking. Chloe's voice came through the speaker, cold and imperious. Leo, I know you're just jealous of Ryan. That's why you pulled that ridiculous stunt tonight. But Ryan's a forgiving person. Said he won't hold it against you. If you come back now and apologize. I hung up. A cold drop hit my face. I looked up. It started to rain. As if my legs had forgotten how to stand, I sank to the pavement, letting the rain soak through my clothes. And then the rain above me stopped. I tilted my head back. There was a black umbrella above me. My eyes followed the hand holding it up. The arm, to the shoulder, and finally, the face. It was beautiful. Delicate, calm. Thanks, I mumbled, sniffling. Don't worry about me. You should go. But the person didn't leave. They smiled. A soft, gentle smile that rippled. Across their face like calm, across a quiet lake. It struck me as hauntingly familiar. I finally get to see little Leo Morgan cry, they said. That voice. My brows furrowed. That face, those long, elegant features, it sparked something. And then a wave of memories crashed into me. Your jet? I gasped. What? She? Let out a soft laugh. You haven't forgotten me, Leo. I'm so glad. Ava Chen, my childhood best friend. After all these years, I forgot all my pain in that moment. All the humiliation, the heartbreak gone, all I wanted now is to. Ketchup, come on, I said, wiping the rain from my face. I'm buying you dinner. It's been way too long. When I was a kid, my parents were always buried in their business. They didn't have time to look after me. So they sent me to live with my grandmother in her small town. That's where I met Ava. We were in elementary school desk mates in first grade. Remember hearing her stomach growling during class. She always wore this little frown on her face, like she'd built a wall around herself. She seemed unapproachable, so I never dared ask why she was always hungry. I asked Grandma about it one day. She sighed. Ava's father passed away. Her mother ran off with another man. She's a poor, unfortunate child. Gets passed around. Between relatives, always has to watch her words. Never has enough to eat. She pressed a few extra dollars into my hand. From now on, pack a little extra in your lunch. Share it with her. So I did. At first, I'd offer her my snacks pretzels, fruit snacks, chips, saying I was too full and needed help finishing them. She'd scowl and refuse every time. Then one day, I tossed 2 perfectly good dinner rolls into the trash, right in front of her. She lunged for the bin like a woman possessed, pulling them out. She turned to me, eyes blazing. How could you waste food? She looked at me like I'd committed a mortal sin. You can't just throw food away, she accused. I shrugged. I can't eat it all. It'll just go bad if I leave it. She bit her lip, uncertain. Are you sure you can't eat it? Positive, I said firmly. Look, my grandma packs me this huge lunch every day. I'm not a pig. There's no way I can finish it all. So, you weren't offering me food before because you pitied me? She asked carefully. Of course not, I said, my voice full of conviction. Okay, she replied, her shoulders finally relaxing. Then from now on you can give me what you can't finish. But she pointed at me sternly. Food is precious. You can't waste it. Deal. I grinned, secretly thrilled that my little ploy had worked. From that day on, I became Ava's official food supplier. We were inseparable after that. We told each other everything. Her name was Ava. But her incredible talent for folding paper airplanes of every shape and size earned her the nickname Jet. And after she overheard my grandma call me by my first name, she started calling me Leo. She told me stories about her aunt, whose yelling sounded like a screeching harpy, and her uncle, who was too fat to ever catch her when she caused mischief. I told her about my parents, who were always too busy to notice much. Our phone calls rarely lasted more than 5 minutes. She was brilliant. She aced every test. My math skills were a disaster, but she would patiently explain every problem until I finally understood. Thanks to her, my grades skyrocketed. I even made it into the top 3 of our class. To be precise, I hovered between second and third. First place, that was always hers. At the end of 6th grade, my parents told me they were taking me back to the city for middle school. I cried for days, not just because I didn't want to leave her, but because I was scared. Without me there to feed her, what would happen to Ava? But soon, my fears were put to rest. Her biological uncle, her father's younger brother, came back. He had gone to Hong Kong years ago to make his fortune and had lost contact with the family. They thought he was dead. It turned out he'd survived a terrible accident. In the process, he'd saved the life of a powerful man who later took him under his wing. The accident had left him unable to have children of his own. When he returned and saw Ava's situation, his heart broke. He decided to take her with him and raise her as his own daughter. I finally felt peace. Ava wouldn't go hungry anymore. After elementary school, I moved to the city with my parents. She went to Hong Kong with her uncle. We never saw each other again. Until tonight. Despite the years apart, it felt like no time had passed. We fell into the same easy, familiar rhythm we'd shared as kids. Before we were even halfway through dinner, we were talking a mile a minute. Ava told me about her life, how her uncle treated her like gold and sent her to the best schools in Hong Kong. She had always done well academically and eventually ended up in an Ivy League university in the U.S., studying computer science. When she said the name of her school, my jaw dropped. You're being way too modest, I said, eyes wide. That's not just doing well. That's being a certified genius. She laughed. So, what are you doing now? I asked. I started my own company, she said simply. A small startup in the AI space. She gave me a brief overview, then turned the question back to me. What about you? I sighed. A complete mess. Failed relationship. Just texted him my breakup notice. And as for work, I'm handing in my resignation tomorrow. That's not a failure, Ava said, smiling warmly. You're still young. You can start over with anything. Nodded slowly. Yeah, I guess you're right. How's your grandma? She asked. And just like that, the heaviness returned. The ache in my chest pressed down hard. I fell silent for a long moment. She's not going to make it, I said softly, my voice thick with emotion. It's just a matter of days. Ava reached across the table gently. I don't be too sad. Your grandma loves you more than anything. She wouldn't want to see you hurting. Then she paused. Kay to visit her tomorrow? I nodded, grateful. And then an idea sparked, wild, desperate. I looked up at her, my eyes wide, heart racing. Are you married? I asked. Do you have a boyfriend? She shook her head. No marriage, no boyfriend. I swallowed hard. The words tumbled out before I could stop them. Then, will you marry me? The moment I said it, I was stunned by my own audacity. But I couldn't take it back now. And to my utter shock, Ava just smiled and said, okay. I was sure she hadn't heard me right, so I repeated myself. She just smiled. Okay, No problem. Still unsure. I quickly explained the whole situation, that this was just to give my grandma peace. To untie that final knot of worry in her heart. You don't have to do this just because of our childhood friendship, I said gently. You shouldn't feel pressured to say yes. I know this is just a formality, but it still means changing your legal status from single to married. It's a big deal. If you're not comfortable, just tell me. I'm not uncomfortable at all, Ava said, her tone serious. I'm doing this willingly. After all, if it weren't for the food your grandma gave me when we were kids, I might have starved to death. She paused, her eyes softening. Think of it as me repaying a debt, she added. Let me do this. It's a weight on my heart, too, Anne. Unpaid kindness. After a moment, I nodded. Okay, we can get a divorce whenever you want. At the moment you say the word, so when do we get the license? A wedding ceremony is out of the question, I said. But to really put her mind at ease, a marriage certificate is the most concrete proof tomorrow. I decided after dinner Ava drove me home. On the way, I was still marveling at the odds. In a city this huge, what were the chances we'd run into each other on a random street corner? It means we were meant to find each other, she said, smiling. I couldn't agree more. Our destiny started when we were 7. During the drive, my phone buzzed constantly. Ever since I'd sent Chloe that breakup text during dinner, she hadn't stopped calling. I didn't answer. She just kept trying. Ava glanced at the vibrating phone on the console. Her eyes questioned me. I picked it up, blocked Chloe's number, and turned the phone off completely. The past is the past, I said. My people and things that belong there won't affect my future. For the rest of the ride, Ava hummed a little tune in a bright and carefree mood. The next morning I had just gotten out of bed when my phone rang. It was Ava. Let's go. Time to get married. When I opened the front door, she was standing there, waiting with a bright smile. I had to laugh. It's only 6:30. City Hall doesn't open until 8 o'clock. Breakfast first, then, she asked, winking. After breakfast, we arrived at City Hall at 7:50 a.m. We didn't have to wait long. The first couple of the day, the whole process was smooth and quick. By the time we walked out, marriage certificate in hand, it wasn't even 9 o'clock. Ava came with me to the hospital. Grandma, do you remember her? I asked as I sat beside her bed. Jateva Chen, from our old village. The little kid, remember? Grandma's eyes, cloudy with age, searched her memory. Then they lit up. Oh, I remember. Leo's desk mate. You came over for dinner once, with Leo, and after you ate, you insisted on washing the dishes. You even cleaned the whole house wiped. Down the windows, too. Ava blushed slightly. Your memory is amazing, Grandma. I remember you went to Hong Kong with your uncle, she said warmly. We must be doing well. That car he drove back to the village, they said it was worth over $100,000. Has he been good to you? Yes, Ava nodded. Uncle has been very good to me. Grandma smiled. That's good. It's very good. Grandma, I said, carefully choosing my words. There's something I've been keeping from you. The truth is, the girlfriend I've been dating all these years, it was Ava. She was living in Hong Kong, always busy with work. That's why she never had the time to visit. Please, don't be upset with her. Leo's girlfriend was you. Grandma turned to Ava, her face lighting up with joy. Oh, this is wonderful. Truly wonderful. Childhood sweethearts. You know each other inside and out. Now I can truly rest easy. Grandma, I said, reaching into my pocket. Ava and I got our license today. We're married. Grandma's hands trembled as she took the certificate. Her eyes scanned it slowly, soaking in every word. She wiped away a tear. Married. My Leo is married. Oh. That's so good. So good. Grandma, we were in a rush, Ava added, so we didn't have time for a big wedding. But we'll definitely have a huge celebration. The license is enough, Grandma said, smiling through her tears. She reached out, took both of our hands, and placed them together. As for the wedding, you two can plan it however you are. But don't be too extravagant. Her voice was soft, but firm, a final blessing, full of love. Now that you're married, you have to be real adults. Take on the responsibilities of a family, work together. Build your little home. Talk things out. Don't fight. Just live a good, honest life. She went on for a while, a stream of gentle advice, and Ava and I just nodded along. You could see it in her eyes. She was genuinely, blissfully happy. At lunch, she even ate a second bowl of soup. That afternoon, I went to Sterling Industries. Mr. Morgan, aren't you on vacation? What brings you to the office? My former assistant asked. I'm here to process my resignation. Her jaw dropped and stayed that way. For someone at my level, resignation required the CEO's signature. I stood outside Chloe's office and knocked. Come in, when she saw me. Chloe sitting behind her massive desk. Chloe surprised for a second. Her composure, her eyes glinting with mockery. Well, look who's back. And here I thought you had some pride. Before I could speak, she continued. I'll let it slide this time. We'll just say you were having a jealous fit. But don't let it happen again. Miss Sterling, She rounded the desk and stood in front of me, her posture towering, her voice sharp. Miss Sterling? Still sulking? Are we? She let out a small, condescending laugh. Quite the temper. You even dared to block me? Ryan burst into the room. I heard Leo was here. He looked at me with that overly friendly tone. He always used in front of Chloe. Leo, you're finally back. Everyone says you're the backbone of the design department, and they're right. Since you've been gone, I've been swamped, running around like crazy. Can't even focus enough to sketch. Don't sell yourself short, Chloe interjected smoothly. You're new to the company. You're still learning the ropes. You just came back from abroad. You're not familiar with the domestic market yet. You just need more time. Ryan gave a charming smile. You're the only one who's so forgiving with me. Of course, Chloe said, her tone suddenly serious. Only I know how talented you really are. Then she turned back to me. Anyway, Leo, your timing is perfect. The client wasn't happy with that design Ryan submitted. I need you to revise it and get it back to them before they'll... End of the day? Sorry about this, Leo, Ryan said softly. Hate to trouble you again. Is everything at home settled? Are you ready to come back to work? I have to say, Chloe added with a frown. You've taken quite a bit of time off. Lucky I'm your boss. No one else would let you take this much time off for no good reason. I looked at the two of them so perfectly rehearsed. Are you both finished? They went quiet. First of all, in my 5 years at this company, I have never taken a single day of my accrued vacation. I have 20 paid days saved up. On this leave, I've used only 6. I still have 14 days remaining. I'm on legitimate, approved leave. I've violated no company policy. Second, I'm here to resign. The amusement on Chloe's face vanished, replaced by visible impatience. Leo, there's a limit to these tantrums. I'm not having a tantrum, I said calmly. I'm resigning. And for the... Record the breakup was serious too. Ryan stepped in, his voice low and patronizing. Leo, couples have disagreements. You shouldn't throw the word breakup around so lightly. It's very hurtful. That's why I didn't. Say it lightly. Lines formed on Chloe's forehead, clear signs of her rising fury. I'm giving you one last chance. Take back what you just said. I don't need it. Fine. She nodded, her expression sharp. Leo, you really think I can't bear to lose you, don't you? You really think this company can't function without you? Never thought that. I replied honestly. Good. Break up. Resign. Whatever. She spun around, snatched a pen from her desk, and furiously scribbled her signature across my resignation form. And you don't need to stay another month. You can clear out your desk today. The company will pay you whatever severance it owes down to the last penny. I nodded. That's even better. With that, I turned and walked out of the office. As I reached the door, I heard something heavy crash to the floor behind me. Standing on the sidewalk outside the Sterling Industries tower, I looked back up at the gleaming glass and steel and smiled. A genuine, free, unburdened smile. My lost youth, the love I had chased for so long, the career I had poured my sweat and passion into, They were all behind me now, and I had no regrets. In my studies, in my relationships, in my work, I had given everything I had. Looking back, my conscience was clear. Academically, I had fought my way into the university and major of my dreams. I was satisfied. Professionally, even though I was leaving, the years of work had shaped me or refined me. I could feel my growth not just in skill, but in strength. In my ability to navigate the messiest, most complex moments romantically. To be continued, if you'd like. I'd been brave enough to confess my feelings, and I had even dated the person I had admired from afar for so long. In that relationship, I strived to be a good an exceptional boyfriend. I cared about her life and her work. I was empathetic. I was emotionally supportive. I gave everything I could. And still, the relationship failed. I had tried, truly, and in doing so, I had discovered something important, that this person and this relationship were not right for me, so I let go. I had done my best, so I had no regrets. Now it was time to collect myself to say a dignified farewell. To the past, from this day forward, I would stride confidently into the next chapter of my life. Forgetting Chloe completely. It probably wouldn't be easy, but I had patience. I would erase her from my heart, piece by piece. It would take time because she'd lived there for a long time. I met Chloe in middle school. I'd just transferred from a small town to the big city. During English class, when I answered a question, my thick Midwestern accent sent the whole room into laughter. Even after class, a few kids kept mimicking my pronunciation, making snide remarks. Chloe, who sat behind me, suddenly threw the book. She was holding it, grazed the forehead of the boy, mocking me. "You've had 6 more years of proper English lessons than him, and you still sound like an idiot," she snapped. "Does that make you feel superior?" Her voice was ice. The room went silent, and after that day, no one dared make fun of my accent again, not to my face. That one act of defense. It made me start paying quiet attention to the girl behind me, and the more I watched, the more I fell. At that age, Chloe was in a league of her own. She was stunning, tall, elegant, always with a quiet confidence. Her grades were at the top of our year. Teachers adored her. I'd heard whispers that her family was incredibly wealthy. Even her sneakers were limited edition collector's items. But more than all of that, she had defended me. In front of everyone, she had preserved my dignity when I was at my most vulnerable. For a boy on the cusp of adolescence, a girl like that was dangerously easy to fall for. I knew she was out of my league, so I kept my crush hidden. Like in my small town, I'd always been at the top of the class. My grades were just average. To get my name on a ranking list anywhere close to hers, I studied like my life depended on it, and it paid off. Slowly, my grades climbed. Eventually, I was less than 10 spots behind her. In the high school entrance exams, I scored 5th in the entire school. She was first. That was the closest I ever got. By some stroke of luck, we ended up in the same high school and even in the same homeroom. After midterms, the seating chart changed. To my utter delight, we became desk mates. One morning, during English reading period, I was reading aloud. She leaned in, smiled slightly, and whispered, "Your accent is perfect now." Outwardly, I stayed calm, but inside, flower burst into bloom. She remembered me. She remembered my accent. As desk mates, we started to talk occasionally, and I learned more about her. Every morning after second period, she'd go to the cafeteria to buy strawberry yogurt. She'd take it upstairs to the sophomore hall to her. Brother in class 1OB, his name was Ryan. He was a year older than her. They weren't blood related. Ryan was her stepmother's son from a previous marriage. But Chloe never showed any animosity toward her stepmother. Her own mother had passed away when she was 5. Her father, not wanting her to be mistreated, had refused to remarry for years. In her first year of middle school, he met Ryan's mother. Eventually, they married. And Chloe, she found something she hadn't felt in years, maternal warmth she'd lost too soon. She adored her stepmother and fiercely protected Ryan. I pieced it all together from bits of conversation. And that's when I realized the reason she had stood up for me that day in class. Ryan had also transferred from a small town. Just like me, he had been mocked mercilessly for his accent. She had found him crying in his room because of it, so when she saw the same thing happening to me, she couldn't let it slide. She had seen her brother in me that day, and her anger had boiled over, compelling her to act, learning the truth. Stung for a little while, but I got over it quickly. I was already in too deep. Loving her had become a habit I couldn't break. Long before college, I had found out which university Chloe dreamed of attending. That school became my singular goal. By some miracle, I got in. In college, we barely interacted. I just watched her from afar, quietly content to exist in the same space. Until one night, everything changed. It was a party for students from our hometown. Chloe drank far too much. She was crying, sobbing that she could never be with the one she truly loved. And from the name she kept whispering over and over, I found out the person she loved wasn't me. It was her stepbrother. I also found out that Ryan, unable to deal with their complicated relationship, had just left for Europe a few days earlier. On the walk back to her dorm, she cried the entire way. Her voice choked. With sorrow? Why did he have to leave? I could have just not bothered him, as long as he was still here. Couldn't I just watch you from a distance? Every day you're gone, I'm thinking of you. Seeing her like that shattered me. But there was nothing I could do. The next day, she was waiting for me outside my building. Leo, she said softly, do you want to try dating me? It felt like a firework exploded right above my head. I couldn't stop myself from nodding. During college, our relationship was simple, sweet, just like any young couple. She'd wait for me outside my dorm with breakfast in hand. We'd walk around campus holding hands. She didn't have class. She'd sit in on mine, secretly playing with my fingers under the desk. On Valentine's Day, she planned elaborate surprises. That expensive phone I had left in my Amazon cart for months, she bought it and gave it to me as a birthday gift. After graduation, she said, come work at Sterling Industries. Want to see you every day at work. Years later, I learned the truth. The reason she asked me out back then wasn't love, Ryan had told her. I have a girlfriend now, Chloe. You should go out and date someone too. Because I had taken her home drunk the night before, because we were old classmates. She picked me. I was convenient. When I found out, I was furious. Chloe apologized over and over, doing everything she could to win me back. Eventually, the first caved. Because to me, those years weren't fake. The sweet memories felt real. I didn't want to let them go. If Ryan had never returned, maybe I would have kept living in that fantasy, believing Chloe had fallen for me. But the moment he reappeared, the illusion shattered, and I was forced to see the truth. Chloe had never gotten over him. She had never not once truly loved me. She brought Ryan into the company, to publicly acknowledge him as family, promoted him. She even created a brand new director-level position for him in the design department, the same title as mine. One day a client rejected his design proposal. She handed it to me to revise, but it wasn't a revision. It was a complete redesign start to finish. When the project was done, the credit, the presentation, the submission, it all had Ryan's name on it. And when I saw the way Chloe looked at him, that look of adoration she never once gave me, everything became clear. Back in college, Chloe told me she didn't believe in marriage. She asked if I could accept that. At the time, I said yes. I was young. Marriage felt distant, something to worry about later. I figured that after a few years together she might change her mind, but now I understood. Her so-called anti-marriage stance was never about beliefs. It was a safety net, a way to keep her options open. Because if the chance to be with Ryan ever became real, that slim, impossible hope, she needed to be unmarried. She needed to be available. That would be her gift to him. After I left Sterling Industries, I went straight to the hospital to be with Grandma. Her spirits were brighter than I'd seen in days. She chatted endlessly, Ava's name finding its way into every other sentence. Our Ava, she called her. A clear sign that Ava had already won her heart. That evening, Ava came to the hospital after work. The moment Grandma saw her, her face lit up with a warm, radiant smile. Ava sat gently by her bedside, patiently chatting with her, reminiscing about the old days in that quiet little town. She told stories, familiar, comforting ones, that brought peace to Grandma's eyes. She even mentioned that she had bought a house and a car here in the city, describing how big the house was. How nice the car looked, almost like she was trying to prove she could provide a stable life for me. But Grandma didn't care about any of that. "You've built all this at such a young age," she said, concerned. "It must have been so much work. Don't push yourself so hard. Our Leo is a good boy. He bought his own little condo. You to have enough. Don't work yourselves into the ground. Your health, that's what matters most." Then she added softly, "I've saved up a little money. I gave the passbook to Leo. It's all for you too." Ava gave her a big thumbs up. "Grandma, you saved money? That's incredible." Later, when my dad arrived to take over, Grandma shooed us out of the room, insisting we go get some dinner. While we ate, I told Ava I'd quit my job. "So, what's next?" she asked, thinking it through. "I think I'll just work as a freelance illustrator from home. I don't really want to go back into the corporate world." Showed her my social media accounts. She was surprised. "You have this many followers?" Yeah, I smiled. "They've built up over the years. I started posting my drawings back in college, and I guess a lot of people liked them." She nodded, impressed. "With a following like that, you can absolutely make a living as a freelancer." Then she asked, "By the way, what did you tell your parents about us getting married?" I laughed a little. Same thing I told Grandma. They knew I'd been in a relationship for a few years, but they'd never met my girlfriend. So I just told them it was you all along, that you were based in Hong Kong, and we could never find the right time to meet. And they didn't. "Tear you apart for running off and getting a marriage certificate without even telling them?" she asked, half joking. "Why would they?" I smiled. "They understood it was for Grandma. In fact, they kept saying how amazing you are, that you were willing to make such a big sacrifice just to fulfill her final wish." As I was speaking, my phone rang. It was an unknown number, I answered. Chloe's voice came through demanding, entitled, "Where did you buy that stomach medicine you used to get for me?" I hung up immediately and just sent her assistant the address of the pharmacy. Then the phone rang again, another unknown number. Exasperated, I was about to turn it off when Ava, with a slight smile, stopped me. "Wait, I have an idea. Way to make her stop harassing you." "Oh," I asked. "What is it?" "Go public," she said calmly. Her voice was steady, confident. 2 minutes later, I updated my Instagram, a single photo of our marriage certificate. Caption, "Married." The comment section exploded instantly with question marks. Now, that night when I got back to my apartment, I found a tall, slender figure leaning against the wall beside my door. "What's with the picture?" Chloe asked, her face a blank mask. "It's pretty self-explanatory," I replied. "I got married." "Jokes have a limit," she said, a flicker of irritation crossing her face. "I told you already," I said, keeping my voice calm. "The doctor said my grandma only has a few days left. Didn't want her to have regrets. That's why. I was in a hurry to get married." Chloe looked down. Her face disappeared into the shadows, unreadable. Then, her voice trembling, almost a whisper cut through the silence. "So, the marriage is fake? The certificate? It's fake?" I slowly shook my head. "No, it's all real. We went to City Hall this morning and got the license." Suddenly, Chloe lunged forward and grabbed my arm, her voice low and sharp. "Leo, you just married a random person. Can't trust people. What if she tries to extort you? What if she's after your money?" An image of Ava's gentle smile flashed in my mind. The way she spoke, the calm in her presence. "She's not a random person," I said, my voice steady with certainty. "She's a friend I've known since I was a kid. She's a good person." Chloe's jaw clenched. "Fine," she spat. "You've really outdone yourself." She turned sharply and walked away without looking back. A few days later, Grandma passed away. The doctor comforted us, saying her last few days had been peaceful, that she had passed with a calm expression on her face, that we shouldn't be too sad because she left this world without any lingering regrets. Through it all, Ava was a rock. She helped with the funeral arrangements, ran errands, and stood by my parents like a daughter. My mom pulled me aside more than once, whispering with tears in her eyes, "Ava is a real gem." She must be exhausted. You chose the right one, Leo. To my surprise, Chloe showed up at the funeral. Who's that? My parents asked, puzzled. My old boss, I explained awkwardly. Well, that's awfully kind of her, my mom said. You don't even work there anymore, and she still came to pay her respects. After offering her condolences, Chloe walked over to me and spoke in a low voice. Can we talk? I'm busy, I replied. I don't have time. I'll wait. By the time the last of the guests had gone, and the sky had gone completely dark, she was still there standing silently by the curb. I walked up to her. What is it? The night wind stirred the loose strands of hair around her face. It looked fragile. Her expression was heavy with sorrow. I'm sorry, she said. I didn't know you were telling the truth about your grandma. I thought you were just making up an excuse to force you into marriage, I finished for her, letting out a small, humorless laugh. It doesn't matter. It's all in the past, Leo. Her voice trembled with a quiet, aching desolation. These past few weeks without why haven't been myself. Work, life, everything feels hollow. I can't find the energy to do anything. She took a breath. I've been thinking a lot, and I finally realized. It's because I can't live without you. I finally understand what this feeling is. It's missing someone. It's my fault. It was too slow, too arrogant. I never realized how much I loved you until you were gone. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. She opened it. Inside, a diamond ring sparkled under the streetlight. Leo, she said softly, voice pleading, marry me. I stared at the ring, finding the entire situation surreal. Chloe, I'm already married. Then divorce her, she said, stepping forward. Come back to me. Aren't you the one who didn't believe in marriage? I asked. Not anymore, she said, her voice trembling. For you, I'll break all my principles, change everything I believed. You want marriage? We'll get married. I'll give you the grandest wedding you've ever seen. I'll announce to the whole world that you are my husband. I shook my head. There's no need. I don't want to marry you anymore. And besides, today is my grandmother's funeral. This isn't the time or the place for this. Chloe grabbed my sleeve, her grip tight and desperate. I can give you the best life imaginable. That woman, your so-called childhood friend, what can she possibly give you? How my husband and I choose to live our life is none of your business, Miss Sterling. A calm, strong voice rang out from behind me. Ava. She walked up and stood beside me, her presence firm and unwavering. Who are you? Chloe demanded, her eyes flashing with anger. The person who signed that. Certificate with Leo, Ava replied smoothly. Yes, I am Leo's legal wife, the one who will take care of him for the rest of his life. You, Chloe sneered, a vein pulsing at her temple. What kind of life can you even provide? How are you going to take care of him? We may not have the deep pockets of Sterling Industries, Ava said, offering a faint smile. But FlightPath AI is a pretty well-known name in our industry. Short of asking for the moon and the stars, I think I can satisfy any request Leo has. Chloe's brow furrowed. FlightPath AI? Wait, you're Ava Chen, the CEO of FlightPath AI? The one and only, Ava confirmed. Oh, I'd appreciate it if you stayed away from my husband. He doesn't want to see you. Chloe turned to me, eyes wide with disbelief. I met her gaze calmly, then leaned my head gently against Ava's shoulder. What my wife said, I added softly, but firmly. Chloe let out a hollow, bitter laugh, then turned and walked away, alone. When she was finally gone, Ava turned to me, her tone suddenly playful. So, how'd I do? Looking at her saying nothing, after a few moments, she started to squirm under the silence. Say something, she muttered. You're making me nervous. Explain FlightPath AI, I said quietly. It wasn't just curiosity or vanity. The name had struck a chord. I'd heard of FlightPath AI before. It wasn't just any startup. It was a rising star in the tech world, a powerhouse in artificial intelligence, a leader in the domestic market. This was the small startup Ava had casually mentioned. Ava looked down at her feet, guilt clouding her eyes. She couldn't meet my gaze. Her voice came out as a soft mumble. Well, He never asked what my company was called, so I never mentioned it. I pressed gently, and the name. It does come from the two of us, doesn't it? Shh. Hesitated. As I recall, I continued. Flight Path was founded several years ago. Back then, we hadn't seen each other in years. At that, Ava lifted her head. Her expression was a mixture of defiance and surrender. It's true. She said, I've always loved you. From the moment I left for Hong Kong, you were burned into my memory. I decided right then when I grew up, I would come back and find you. I stepped closer, gently tilting her chin up with my fingers. What else have you been hiding from me? Her face instantly flushed a deep, beautiful red. I learned everything. She had never forgotten me. If anything, the memory of me had only deepened with time. It's growing from a childhood crush into something stronger, something enduring and unwavering love that never left her heart. Before leaving, for college in the States, she had begged her uncle to let her return to our hometown, hoping to see me one last time. But by then, my grandmother had moved to the city. No one knew our new address. Ava only had 3 days. She returned to Hong Kong empty-handed. In graduate school, she started her own workshop and named it Flight Path, a tribute to us. Me. And her childhood nickname, Jet. Her days were packed with study and business. But when she finally had the freedom to return, she managed to track down my address. She found me. But she also found that I was no longer alone. I was in a relationship. I had someone by my side. And the way I looked at Chloe full of affection broke her heart. So she left again. She returned to the U.S., determined to forget me. But the feelings never faded. They only grew stronger. When the time was right, she moved Flight Path's headquarters to the mainland right into the city where I lived. She never intended to disrupt my life. She only wanted to see me, even if it was from a distance. Sometimes she would drive across town, parked across the street from my office, and watch. She'd sit in silence as I walked out of the building with my girlfriend, arm in arm. As long as I looked happy, she would drive away content, fulfilled by the smallest glimpse of me. But recently, she started seeing me leave alone, every evening. Chloe wasn't by my side anymore. Instead, she often saw Chloe leaving with another man, laughing with him, dining with him, looking at him with the same gentle eyes she once gave me. Then, that night, when she saw me huddled on the sidewalk, drenched in rain, eyes red from crying, she couldn't bear it anymore. She ran to me, shielding me with her umbrella. After hearing her story, I stood in stunned silence. Then I covered my face and wept. To think, all this time, someone had loved me like that. So silently, so completely. This kind of love, it felt too big for me, I told her so.
Elder.
I didn't know if I was worthy of it. Ava reached up and gently wiped my tears away with her thumb. You are worthy, she said softly. My Leo is worthy of the best love in the world. Chloe tried to contact me many more times, but I didn't respond. I'd blocked all her numbers and social media accounts, but she started writing me emails. I only discovered them by accident one day. Scrolling through my inbox, I saw a long thread of unread messages. It was surreal, like she was using my email as a personal diary. In those emails, she said she had finally realized the truth. Her feelings for Ryan had never been love. They were born from a deep emotional dependency. As a child who lost her mother young, she had clung to her kind stepmother and, by extension, to the step-sibling that woman brought into her life. It was the first time a woman had cared whether she was warm, whether she was fed, whether she felt safe. That kind of care was new and addictive. She mistook it for love, but it wasn't. She admitted that only after I left, when she couldn't sleep at night, when her chest physically ached, when she was so angry she didn't know what to do. Did she finally understand how much I had meant to her? She said that the day I posted the marriage certificate, it took every ounce of self-control not to drive over, drag me away, and lock me somewhere just to keep me from leaving her life. That day when I rejected your proposal was the biggest regret of my life, she wrote in one of her emails. One wrong step, and I lost everything. She shared that her father and stepmother had recently divorced. Legally, she and Ryan were no longer related in any way. Ryan had been ecstatic. He told her that now they could finally be together openly. But Chloe said she didn't feel any joy, only resistance. A deep, immovable reluctance. She didn't want to be with Ryan? Leo, this is the last email I'll send you. The final message read, I won't bother you anymore. I've agreed to a strategic marriage for my father's company. I have a meeting with the son of the Miller Group. Tomorrow, let me think of you one last time. Goodbye, and I'm sorry. After reading the emails, I calmly dragged them all to the trash. Later, I heard something had happened to Chloe. She had started seeing the heir to the Miller Group. They were already planning their engagement. One evening, after a dinner together, Ryan appeared at the restaurant in a jealous rage. He tried to push Mr. Miller down a flight of stairs. Chloe threw herself between them. She was the one who fell. Her injuries were severe. The doctors said that without perfect care, she might be left with a permanent disability. But Mr. Miller, he was moved by her sacrifice, so deeply, so completely, that he declared he would marry her no matter what. Ryan was arrested and sent to prison. Later, I came across a video of the incident online, probably filmed by a bystander. In it, Ryan's face was twisted in madness as he screamed at Chloe, You love me. I know you do. Why won't you be with me? Why are you marrying someone else? You flew across the world every year for my birthday. I told you I didn't. Want another man in this family? And you promised. Promised you'd never get married? You love me so much. You did so much for me. Are you throwing me away now? Then he lunged forward, and Chloe's scream echoed as she fell down the stairs. I closed the video, a strange heaviness growing in my chest. Can love really make people go crazy? I asked aloud. Again, Eva said softly, stepping behind me and wrapping her arms gently around my shoulders. It's a good thing you're with me. Otherwise... She paused. I might have been driven mad with longing for you too. I turned slightly, frowning. Are you really that extreme? Hey, don't worry, she whispered with a faint smile. If I ever went crazy, I wouldn't hurt anyone else. I'd only hurt myself. You can't do that, I said, cupping her face in my hands. My voice dropped to a tender whisper. You're not allowed to hurt yourself, because it would break my heart.